Are you thinking about buying a house in Guelph, but wondering if you can afford a house, or based off of your income, what type of house can you afford? If you're a first time buyer, this is probably something that's running through your mind. In this video, I'm going to go over, based off of different levels of income, how much house you could qualify for, and then based off of that purchase price, what kind of house you could realistically expect to get in Guelph. I'm also going to talk about the key things that you need to focus on to be able to set yourself up to be able to qualify for a mortgage and maximize the amount of house that you can purchase. So one of the first things that you're going to have to focus on is your credit score. It's one of the big things that the banks are going to look at when deciding whether or not they want to lend to you. Now, everyone always thinks you have to have a perfect credit score, a really great credit score rating. Reality is, credit scores over 700 is really what you want. Once you go above that, lenders are interested, and they're more so looking at your debt service ratios. Now, if you have a credit score under 700, you can definitely get lending, but it does get trickier when you start to get into the low sixes and below that. The difference between having a good credit score and a not as great credit score is you're going to get better lending terms, better interest rates, and have more options. Now, worse than having low credit is actually having no credit. So if you currently don't have any credit, that's going to be the first thing that you're going to want to focus on, is building up a credit score. Lenders need to see that you're able to manage debt and pay back loans. The banks are also going to look at your debt service ratio. So there's two ratios that they focus on: GDS, which is gross debt service ratio, and then TDS, which is your total debt service ratio. So your GDS is the cost of owning that house and carrying it compared to your total gross income. So that's going to be your mortgage payments, your property tax, and your utility costs. And what they want is they don't want the cost of that to exceed 39% of your gross incomes. Your total debt service ratio then takes into consideration all the other outstanding debts that you have. So that could be car loans, student loans, credit card, and they don't want that ratio to exceed 44% of your gross income. So let's run through a couple of real scenarios. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how much money you could qualify for if you are a single person with a salary of $70,000. And then I'm going to show you what you could qualify for as a couple who earned a combined income of $120,000, and then a couple who earned a combined income of $200,000. To keep this simple, I'm going to assume that you've got a credit score of 700 or higher, you've got no other outstanding debts, and we're going to use an interest rate of 3.99% and a 30-year amortization. Let's dive into it. So what type of home could you afford to buy in Guelph if you earn $70,000 a year? Well, assuming you have a down payment of $30,000 plus a couple percentages for closing costs, that would allow you to qualify to purchase a home up to $350,000. And at that purchase price, your mortgage payments would be about $1,583 a month. In Guelph, you're not going to find many homes priced under $350,000. However, you can find some condos within that price range. Now, you have to be careful because you'll have to watch the condo fees. If they have higher condo fees, that's going to limit the price that you can qualify for. So an example of a property was a recent sale at 53 Conroy. So this was a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo, just under 600 square feet. And this sold for $310,000 with condo fees of about $380 a month. There's several buildings in Guelph which do have similar condos to this under that $350,000 range. Now, if you want to get an even bigger selection, if you go out towards Cambridge or KW, they have a lot more options sub $350,000. Now, don't get discouraged. If you're in this income bracket and looking at this going, a space like this wouldn't work for me, at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about several different ways that you can increase the amount of home that you can qualify for. Now, remember, this also doesn't have to be your forever home. You're much better to get into the market and to start to experience that appreciation than to try and save up faster than the market appreciates. Now, how much home could you afford to buy if you earned $120,000 a year as a couple? Well, provided you had a down payment of $50,000 plus closing costs, then you could qualify for a house up to $600,000, and your monthly mortgage payments would be $2,712. So in this scenario, you could afford a larger condo, a 2-bedroom plus den, or you could afford a condo townhouse, or even a smaller detached house in Guelph. Here are some ones that have recently sold. 25K, so this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo at 866 square feet located in the south end of Guelph. This property sold for $513,900 and has condo fees of $507 per month. Lastly, if you're looking for a smaller detached house, there was 31 Hearn that recently sold in the Junction area near downtown. So this was a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1,425 square foot home, and it sold for $526,000. If you're a couple earning $200,000 a year, how much house could you buy? Well, if you have $75,000 down payment plus closing costs, that would allow you to qualify for a purchase price up to $1 million. Now, if you were to max out that purchase price, your mortgage payments would be approximately $4,577 a month. At the $1 million price point, you have a lot of different options. So let's go through a few of them. So this is a brand new luxury townhouse on Sora. So these are selling for $850,000, so still substantially under budget. They're 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms with really high quality finishes, and you're dealing with a monthly fee of $321 per month. There are lots of detached houses selling under that $1 million price point. Here's an example of one in the west end of Guelph. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom home, double car garage, and it sold for $915,000. If you're in this price range, you're gonna have lots of options, and Guelph is a very affordable city for you. If you're feeling like you're priced out of the market, here are 5 strategies that you can utilize to help yourself qualify for more home. So number 1 is to add a cosigner, for example, a parent or a relative, to help you qualify for higher mortgage payments. Or the other option is to increase your down payment by either saving up more or getting gifted part of your down payment from a relative. The second way is to buy a house that has a legal accessory apartment. What this allows you to do is utilize the rental income to offset the mortgage payments. Now, the banks will sometimes let you offset the mortgage payments by 100% of the rental income, and some will let you use 50%. So it'll depend on what lender you use. Regardless, it'll help you qualify for more home. So there was one on Normandy that we recently sold. So this was a bungalow, 3 bedrooms up, 2-bedroom legal basement apartment. We sold this house for $850,000. It was fully renovated, completely turnkey. You could have rented out that basement apartment for around $2,000 a month, which would have covered easily $350,000 of your mortgage payments. The third option would be to live in the basement apartment and rent out the upper or larger unit. This is going to allow you to collect even more rental income to offset more of the mortgage payments. Now, you still have to make sure that you have enough of a down payment to be able to purchase this more expensive home. The next option is to look for cities that are nearby that have more affordable housing. Some areas to consider would be Arthur, Palmerston, Fergus, and Cambridge. The fifth step is to build up your credit. So if you have a credit score under 700, focus on raising that credit score to 700 or above. And then probably the even bigger thing that you can do is reduce your debt to income ratio. So pay off loans like car loans, student loans, lines of credit. By reducing your debt, that'll allow you to qualify for a lot more mortgage. It's really important that you're working with an experienced agent that will get creative and help you come up with a plan in order to qualify for the house that you want to purchase. If you can't afford to buy what you want in Guelph, here are 3 nearby towns that at lower price points that offer fantastic value. So Fergus and Elora, these are really beautiful towns about 25 minutes away from Guelph, and your average sale price is about $650,000. We've got Palmerston and the Minto region. This is a really beautiful community. It's about 50 minutes away from Guelph, and your average sale price there is about $550,000. So for example, in Palmerston right now, we're selling brand new construction condo townhouses that are over 2,000 square feet. You've got 3 huge bedrooms above grade. And then in the basement, you've got a legal 1-bedroom basement apartment. So the basements we're renting out right now for $1,500 a month. So that covers about $300,000 of mortgage payments. And the upper units are renting for $2,600 a month. So that covers a huge amount of your mortgage, almost all of it. So a property like that, you could buy, live in the basement for a bit, live basically mortgage free, and then switch, move up, and then rent out the basement down the road. These are currently listed for $639,000. To give you an idea, something like this would sell between $850,000 to $900,000 in Guelph. Now, if you need to be closer to the 401, then Cambridge is one of the best cities that you can look in. You've got tons of freehold options under that $700,000 price point. If you're worried about timing the market, don't. Focus on what you can afford today, and if you can find a house that works for you, even if it's not your forever home, you're better to get in. It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. If you want to have a mortgage agent run through your specific scenario so you know exactly what you can buy, look in the caption below and I'll drop in the contact for our go-to mortgage agent.